So how many people here are interested in what blockchain is going to do in the travel industry? How many people have an interest? That's great. And how many people are interested in payment solutions? Okay, terrific, terrific. I think the best thing we can do in a session like this is to really paint a picture of the trends right now and where the technology is and what companies, innovative companies, are doing to effectively create a sea change, which is going to touch every part of this industry. I think those of you that have worked with blockchain, maybe only been involved in it for a relatively short amount of time, understand the impact of what this particular technology can do and how fast it can actually completely uproot and change many of the systems that we basically take for granted in the industry right now. I've been in this industry for over 35 years, and I've run operating businesses in the travel industry, tour operating businesses, TMCs, travel agency networks, wholesale travel companies, and aggregation systems. More recently, as I was involved in travel technology for about the last 15 years, I've developed aggregation systems. And what I've learned about what blockchain can do and how these systems are going to change over the very, very near future, I think is incredibly exciting. It's creating all kinds of opportunities for existing businesses and new businesses. So we're going to talk about payment solutions. I think primarily because blockchain technology and distributed ledger and smart contracts, which is what this whole subject is about, really lends itself to applications within this industry. If you look at a $100 million travel company and you compare the back office expenses of that $100 million travel company with a $100 million company in any other sector you care to name, the travel company will have twice to 2.5 times the back office expense of any other company in any other sector, same size. And the reason for that is that and we're talking about B2B business payments between businesses, which is obviously what most people outside this industry don't understand, is that really it's the B2B part of the travel industry that is the biggest part of the travel industry, not the B2C part, right? So payments within the B2B part of the industry are hopelessly inefficient. We use batch processing. We have all kinds of problems with real-time payments. We can't run real-time payments because most companies operating at low margins can't afford the credit and debit card rails. We keep our data in different silos. So we keep our booking data in legacy systems like GDSs and other types of API-driven structures, and we keep all our payment data on the accounting side and in the banking system. Blockchain has the opportunity, and smart contracts and distributed ledger technology has the opportunity to radically change this whole structure within the travel industry and save up to 50% of back office costs. Now, for most companies, saving 50% of your back office costs drives directly to the bottom line. The migration of the technology has been really obviously rampant over the last 5 years specifically. But really what you see is this migration away, most recently, from, if you like, server-type locations, server farms, to distributed nodes, distributed computing power. So what we're looking at in the latest, effectively the latest development within this space, is we're looking at the massive power of distributed networks. And this is really what makes blockchain technology possible. When you look at the different types of opportunities within the space, you really want to understand the difference between what we would call a private or a public blockchain. And in order to kind of get a sense of that, there are certain reasons why you want to begin with looking at why do you want a blockchain in the first place. The first reason is you really want to try to create a distributed ledger system. And what distributed ledger basically means, for folks that haven't looked at this before, is what you're doing is you're moving away from, let's say, an old world structure where a trusted party like a bank effectively determines who's paying who. And when you get into a distributed ledger, when you get into this particular field, you use a trust system that doesn't depend on one single owner of that data or that system. And so records that you write to this blockchain are immutable, they're permanent, they can't be changed. And there are a number of structures and systems that different technologies within the space use to effectively determine what is called consensus, the rules that determine whether a particular record can get written to the block or not. We look at private blockchains, permission blockchains, and public blockchains. I think the biggest way to understand the difference between these is that if you're going to be a company like, let's say, Priceline, and Priceline might have, let's say, 80,000 agents as its customers, they're going to want to largely use a private blockchain. They're big enough and they're large enough effectively to run their entire payment system on a private blockchain. If you're a small company and you might have, let's say, 1,000 customers, or let's say 200 customers, you might be quite happy to run on a public blockchain. And there are different solutions and different layers that you can basically build into the different types. Let's talk about why blockchain is secure. The biggest reason why we look at blockchain as a solution to the existing database structures is that if you think of how we have stored data in the past, data has been effectively hidden behind, or rather protected behind firewalls and behind security systems. If a thief gets into a normal database, he can take everything and he can change records within those systems. He can basically massively hurt the company that owns that data. With a blockchain, we're effectively taking the data and putting it in front of the firewall so that there's no more firewall here, but the thief would have to effectively get into every single line within that database because every single record is encrypted. So if I'm the company and you're the customer, each of us has a key, and the thief would find it almost impossible, well, so far impossible, to be able to get into multiple records of data. And that's the simplest way to understand, from a simple sort of data structure, why this works so well. Now, one of the things that we've developed in our company is effectively we're looking at this from two ways. Firstly, the biggest challenge that we faced is we want to reach out to companies, any size travel company, no matter how big you are, and effectively say, hey, we've got a better solution for your payments, regardless of whether you are managing 1,000 customers or you're managing 100 customers or you're managing 100,000 customers. It doesn't really matter. We've got a solution for your payments. But one of the things we wanted to be able to do first is to effectively attract travel companies to the space. So we built a travel widget. And what that will do, what the widget will do, is the widget will effectively sit on your payment page, and it will effectively allow you to reach out to the $450 billion that's sitting in crypto right now and tell those customers, hey, you can book travel on my site, you can pay for it in crypto, and you, as the travel company, never have to touch the crypto. So you want to be paid in dollars, you want to be paid in euros, you want to be paid in pounds. You can effectively reach into this $450 billion market. You can sell to your customers that want to pay in crypto, but you are going to receive fiat in real time at no cost to you. I'll show you how that works. So one of the things to understand about this market is that, as you can see from this small chart, it's grown from $1.5 billion in 2013, and 5 years later it's at $450 billion, and it's likely to double this year to be close to $1 trillion by the end of 2018. There are 10,000 people a day that come into the crypto markets right now. And so the $450 billion that's sitting there right now, the question has to be asked, how many of you today will accept crypto for travel services? And the answer is probably virtually nobody, right? Because it's very, very difficult to do that. So here is a solution that effectively fixes that. And this is how it works. Well, if I can get the slides to work. Oh, there we go. So again, the customer wants to pay in crypto. You want to receive fiat. You want to receive euros or dollars or pounds. And you want the transaction to happen in real time. So if you've got a payment portal, you want payment right now before you'll generate the e-tickets or give confirmation on the services. And you don't want to pay any fees. You don't want to basically pay any commissions extra. And you don't want to have any chargebacks. And here's the solution. So you have the widget. It's basically one line of code. It basically sits on your payment, on your checkout page. The customer comes there, and just like they're offered a choice if they pay with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they say, no, I want to use crypto, so I'll pay with TripX. If they've never used this service before, they'll be registered. Simply put in a mobile phone number, because we only will transact with people with mobile phones. So they will basically put in a mobile phone number. We will effectively confirm, authenticate that they're a real customer and not a robot. They'll get effectively access to put in a passcode. And if they're returning, it's much quicker, of course. It's automatically right there. But basically, that would take about between 10 and 12 seconds. There are two ways you as a travel service provider can go. Larger companies are going to want to do some API integration, and the API integration will basically pull the checkout data. So it will say, let's say you're buying a fare for $800. It will pull that fare right into this window. If you don't want to do any integration, it doesn't matter. You can do absolutely zero integration, because the customer knows, oh, I've got to pay $800 for this fare. So the customer will actually put in the $800. So you can do zero integration, or you can actually make the user experience a little bit more comfortable depending on what you want to do. We charge a service fee to the customer to use for them to be able to use their crypto. They basically say, okay, I want $869 in this case. They basically scan our QR code right into their Bitcoin wallet. We basically get notified through the system. The funds are en route. We basically push a single-use credit card to the customer. The customer effectively funds that card. This is all happening in less than 30 seconds. The customer funds the card. We fund the card. The customer effectively just pulls the card number, the date, and the CCV code, puts it into your payment gateway. You've just been paid in like a normal credit card transfer, and the customer has paid by crypto. Now, why is that important? That's important for people that are holding crypto that they might have bought at effectively at a much lower price. I was lucky, very lucky, there's no other word for it, absolutely lucky. I wasn't prescient, but I bought Bitcoin when it was $100. Unfortunately, I didn't buy that much Bitcoin, but I bought Bitcoin when it was $100. So you can bet right now, I have a lot of holidays, a lot of first-class travel that I could do on the Bitcoin that I'm holding. If I didn't have a service like this, I would have to go to an exchange, I would have to convert my Bitcoin to cash. That creates a taxable event for me right there. Because now I made 99% profit on my Bitcoin, bingo. Uncle Sam wants his share. When I effectively use Bitcoin to buy air travel, it's a whole different reporting system. And that's still my responsibility to file, naturally. I'm not giving you tax advice here. But the point is that for me, and for 99.9% of other people like me, this is fabulous because I never have to go and convert my Bitcoin to cash in order to pay for travel services. And that's what this is all about. So this is one example of something relatively simple. The technology that we're deploying here is actually relatively simple technology, but it could effectively electrify your business if you have a travel service that you want to sell into this marketplace, right? Let's say you sell upmarket safaris, you sell cruises, you sell high-ticket travel. There are a lot of these customers looking for those services, and they want to pay in crypto. This is a simple way, effectively, for you to serve that market. Okay, let's get on to the good stuff. So, blockchain B2B payments. What we do is we've actually built something called a TripCoin. It's a digital currency, but it's backed by dollars one-to-one. So because we're US-based, we work effectively on using a dollar value for our TripCoin. So every TripCoin that we create is worth $1, and it's backed 100% by the cash that effectively the customers contribute. The price can never change. So the price can never go up. It's a fixed value, right? It's not changeable. And what we can do with this, if you look at the existing payment flows, and this is an example of, let's say, payment flows within a bed bank environment where bed banks are effectively settling and selling to travel agents. What happens today is the agent effectively has to go to a portal, has to do a search, find the hotel, select the hotel, effectively confirm that to their customer, and at time of payment, they have to keep a deposit, in many cases, with that bed bank, and then at the end of the month, the bed bank sends them an invoice for all the transactions that they've run up that month. They have to check them, they have to audit that, they have to reconcile that, they have to go to the bank or use their system to send an ACH payment out. The bed bank has to reconcile that payment against their invoice. Can you see all the processes going on here, all the costs associated with that? And if you think about what the management of commissions looks like, it's even more extraordinary. You can have agents that are not paid for 2 and 3 months after a transaction because it's going through all of this audit process. Putting all this in smart contracts and sticking it on the blockchain in real time, the supplier is paid and the agent is paid their commission the same day that the customer pays. There is no delay. Now, you as the travel supplier, you can make rules to say, you know what, I'm going to give it a week. I'm going to give it 2 days before I pay my agent. That's fine. But agents, on the whole, when they're effectively in a payment system which is effectively using distributed ledger smart contracts and running on a blockchain, those agents are going to get paid, on average, 60 days faster than they're doing right now. And guess what? No customer service when the agents come back and go, hang on a second, I thought I was going to get 12% on this transaction and you only paid me 8%. Just click into the data line on the smart contract and it'll show you exactly why you're getting 8%, because you booked British Airways and it was on a Saturday and it's got a different commission structure to when you book it during the week. You forgot that. But how many companies aren't overwhelmed by agents complaining about the fact they didn't get the commissions that they were supposed to get? This fixes it all. So we go from a 6-7-step process to a 3-step process. On the other side, from the agent's point of view, you create a much larger environment of trust because there are all kinds of incentives for parties to game the system throughout. When you start working with the rigor of a smart contract, there is no more opportunity to game the system. If the smart contract says, I'm going to get 8% because I sold a British Airways ticket on a Tuesday and it's only as far as London, you're going to get paid 8%, and you're going to get that immediately. Smart contracts are really the brains behind how these systems work. And the beautiful thing about smart contracts is they're 100% customizable to everybody's business. And what we do is we build a UI into like what you would regard as like a marketing email, right? You want to go and send. It's as simple as doing this. You've got, let's say, 1,000 agents in your network or 1,000 customers, B2B customers. And instead of sending a marketing email to say, hey, we just got this great deal to this destination at this price, it actually becomes a smart contract. You create it, you distribute it as a smart contract, and you invite your agents to say, gee, I'd like to be part of that, thank you very much. You agree to the terms, I agree to the terms. Bingo, smart contract gets executed as soon as the agent does what they're supposed to do, you do what you're supposed to do, you get paid in real time, agent gets their commission in real time. The technology behind this is effectively that the Ethereum blockchain, which is probably the most widely used commercial blockchain operating in the world right now, because it's much, much faster than what people have sort of understood about Bitcoin and the particular blockchain that Bitcoin operated on, which is very, very slow. The Ethereum consortium blockchain, we run on EVMs running on a Hyperledger protocol, and we use at a consensus layer, we're using something called hash graphing. And this is, I don't want to get technical. I know a lot of people are not technical and you want to understand the bigger picture, but I want to use this just by example to, again, illustrate how far this has come so quickly. Just as little as a year ago, we couldn't figure out how to do more than about a couple of 100 transactions a second, right? Now, that sounds pretty fast compared to Bitcoin, but it's nothing compared to if we want an enterprise system that's going to compete with credit and debit cards, right? You can't do 200 transactions a second. Using a hash graph at the consensus layer, we can now get that up to 40,000 transactions a second. That's in a year, in 1 year. Now, I wouldn't say that 40,000 is deliverable today, but 10,000 is, and 40,000 is not too far away. The capacity is for 40,000, and we're seeing proof that that's going to happen. And what I want to say on this as well, just one further thing, maybe it's better on the next slide. Hash graphing uses a protocol called a gossip protocol. And again, not wanting to get technical on this, but the resolution, remember the critical thing we're trying to resolve here when we build these systems is the critical thing we're trying to prevent every single time is you've got 1 unit of digital currency, let's say. The system has to prevent you from spending that twice. That is, once you understand how that problem is resolved, you absolutely understand the logic for blockchain. It's as simple as that. You've got 1 token of digital currency. How does a system work to prevent you from spending that twice? Yeah? In our banking system, you never have to worry about that, right? Because the bank takes care of that. If you've got $100 in your account, the bank won't allow you to give $100 to John and $100 to Sally. It's going to say, sorry, the payment to Sally didn't go through, NSF, non-sufficient funds, yeah? But when the permission, or when the actual transfer of that is going to take place in a completely distributed environment where no one person is adjudicating that and the network itself is making the rules to determine whether that second payment goes through or not, this is absolutely critical. And once you get your head around that and you understand that all of these technologies are just fixing that problem, and when you see how that problem is being fixed, then the wow light goes on. Because you immediately see that if you now have been able to remove the bank, this one company, this system, this country, right? And think about countries as, as bad actors in some ways as well. When you're able to remove those huge players out of the adjudicating system, and you democratize this data for the world, and you resolve the double pay issue, oh my God, there is just incredible opportunity for everybody in this space. Okay. So this is changing industries right now. You have most of the big banks, big insurance companies, major medical insurance companies, and now travel, right? Now we're starting to see some big names in travel starting to get involved and starting to think through how we effectively integrate these new systems with legacy systems. And what I'm here to tell you is this is a real thing. It's going to change everybody's business for the better. It's going to change everybody's business for the better. And the last point I want to leave you with is this extraordinary idea that really the movement of digital currencies, and you can say cryptocurrencies if you like, it doesn't really matter, but digital currencies, when we actually think about what digital currencies could do, if we think of how our travel industry affects the world, how large it is. It's an $8 trillion industry in the world. And how many places in the world have absolutely extraordinarily bad systems of management in every facet of their financial dealings? And how we could radically change delivery of goods and services, travel goods and services, in those parts of the world, by democratizing this and taking those bad players out of the picture entirely, you start seeing that something like a trip coin becomes effectively the currency of an industry. And that's where this is all going. You're going to start seeing the creation of digital currencies for industries. So industries will operate on a much more common set of rules than countries do. Right? So this is where this potentially is going, and this is why it's so exciting. So we have a few minutes left. Who's got some questions?
How many pre-mined coins are there actually?
How many?
How many pre-mined coins are there actually?
So the coins of trip coins are not mined. We don't have to mine them. We do pay service fees effectively to the same role that miners. We effectively provide our own mining because they're backed 100% with fiat. They're not the type of cryptocurrency that is effectively going to create value as it grows on. It's always fixed at $1. Always fixed at $1. Okay, well, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you're as excited about this space as I am. I'm going to be here for a while. If anybody's got any questions, please come see me. Thanks again.
Thank you, Michael.